when I started, or rather, about 2 weeks ago, I said I would never, or I was canceling the final predictions. But man, the last time I bulked everything, it was one of the most exhausting videos I've ever made because it took up so much energy, not only to do the live, but it also took a lot of time to prepare. Um, as far as like the information that I reference every time I speak. And on top of that, I feel like a lot of people enjoy my commentary, right? Instead of just me reading on a piece of paper, I've noticed that a lot of people enjoy my commentary. So I just decided, you know what, let me just divide it, um, and then I'll do. I think I'll just continue doing final predictions on Wednesday, and then upsets predictions on Friday, and then prediction results on Monday. And then interviews will be sprinkled in between these live videos. I wanted to cancel them, but I feel like there's so much information that shouldn't be crammed into one video. So that's why I decided let me just do final predictions. Plus, it's a pay-per-view, so it's worth it. So without any further delay, let me get started with the final predictions and breakdown. Stuart Nicole versus Jesus Aguilar. Um, Stuart Nicole, I picked, my subscribers went with, before I actually proceed, if you're new to the channel, I introduced a system of, or rather, rankings, IQ rankings. So basically, throughout this whole prediction video, you'll hear me saying who has the IQ advantage in this particular fight, and then I'll highlight that the IQ is basically selected by my subscribers. So a lot of them vote for who they feel like has the highest IQ, and then that's basically how it's determined. I don't want to be the one to decide who has the highest IQ. I feel like it should be a community thing. That's why I decided I'm not going to have an opinion as far as IQ determination. So my subscribers vote, and the votes have been incredible. Like the last time, on UFC 305, the votes for IQ reached like 1,000 collectively, over 1,000 collectively. So the IQ rankings are pretty popular. So if you want to have an opinion as far as who you think has the highest IQ, you can go to the community section. But let me get to the. I just wanted to explain that. Let me get to the predictions and breakdown. So Stuart Nicole versus Jesus Aguilar. My subscribers picked Jesus Aguilar. They also feel like Jesus Aguilar has the highest fight IQ in this particular card. I went with Stuart Nicole. I feel like Stuart Nicole, despite the fact that he's untested in the UFC, I feel like he's a very good fighter. He's very well rounded. He has a good ground game. Based on what I've seen, he has a really good ground game. There's a lot of different things that I consider, but I feel like he's faced decent competition. It's not the best competition on the planet. I mean, that's why I'm a little bit nervous about picking him. But yeah, there's not much to say except that I feel like this fight is a coin flip for me. I don't feel like it's going to be. Um, or rather Jesus Aguilar, I don't feel like he's going to have any sort of advantage. If anything, I feel like Stuart Nicole is the better fighter in this fight. Just that my only concern, as always, is that he doesn't have high level experience, but I'm picking him purely because I feel like he's more skilled. Right, so the only disadvantage that I see for Stuart Nicole is the fact that he doesn't have enough um, experience in the UFC, basically high level experience. That's the only knock I'd give on him. But yeah, my subscribers went with Jesus Aguilar. I went with Stuart Nicole. Both my subscribers and I agree that this fight is risky. So yeah, on to the next one. Song Kenan versus Ricky Glenn. My subscribers and I picked Song Kenan. My subscribers also feel like Song Kenan is the one with the highest fight IQ on this card, or rather, not on this card, in this fight. So between Song Kenan and Ricky Glenn, my subscribers feel like Song Kenan has the highest fight IQ. So let me get to the fight. What do I think is going to happen? I feel like on the feet it'll be evenly matched. On the ground, I feel like Ricky Glenn might have some level of an advantage. Um, in fact, I think on the feet I'd give a slight advantage to Song Kenan. I feel like he's faced a little bit better competition. I don't feel like he's going to struggle in this fight. However, I still feel like this fight is a coin flip for me because despite I see a lot of people overlooking Ricky Glenn, but I wouldn't do that because I feel like it's a coin flip. I think it could go either way because on the feed, I mean, I'd give a slight advantage, or rather, I'd give a slight edge to Song Kenan, but nonetheless, I don't feel like Ricky Glenn will be massively outmatched. You know, on the ground, I would give that. I'd give the edge to Ricky Glenn. So that's why I feel like, even though I don't see the fight going to the ground, I feel like it's going to be a close fight. But Song Kenan has faced better competition. He has faced elite competition. So I'm leaning towards Song Kenan. My subscribers also picked Song Kenan. So yeah, and he apparently has the IQ advantage. I love these IQ picks or IQ rankings. I just love them, man. Anyway, on to the next one: Tom Nolan versus Alex Reyes. My subscribers and I picked Tom Nolan. My subscribers feel like Tom Nolan has the highest IQ in this fight. And interestingly enough, on my channel, I rank fighters based on their IQ on every single card. So, according to my subscribers, Tom Nolan on this whole entire card will have the biggest fight IQ advantage. And on top of that, I feel like this is one of my locks. I feel pretty confidently. This is probably the fight that I feel extremely confident about. I think Tom Nolan should actually win this fight dominantly or finish it, based on what I'm looking at. But yeah, my subscriber, I feel like he'll have the advantage on the feet. I don't know if this fight will get to the ground because Tom Nolan is not very easy to take down. He has the power, he has the reach. Like, I don't see a way for Alex Reyes to win this fight, and that's why I feel so confidently about this one. Um, but yeah, this is basically the guy, according to my subscribers, this is the guy who has the highest IQ, fight IQ advantage on the card. So it coincides with my pick of me feeling confidently about him winning. I don't see a path to victory for Alex Reyes. On to the next one. Jack Jenkins versus Herbert Burns. My subscribers and I went with Jack Jenkins. My subscribers also feel like Jack Jenkins is, or rather, has the IQ advantage on the in this card. Um, yeah, I feel a little bit more confident about this one. Not more confident. I feel like Jack Jenkins will have the striking advantage. Obviously, Herbert Burns will have some level of an advantage on the ground, but I don't feel like it's going to be useful because I don't think it's going to get there. Um, and one of this, my subscribers also said, I think I also just mentioned it. My subscribers feel like Jack Jenkins has the IQ advantage, fight IQ advantage on this particular in this particular fight, and I agree. Herbert Burns has made horrible fight mistake. Like he makes a lot of mistakes, and plus his cardio is not that great. He gives up a lot in fights. So yeah, I agree with this one. How confident am I? pretty confident. I don't think Herbert Burns is going to win this fight. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, my subscribers and I went with Jack Jenkins. I mean, obviously Herbert Burns is has that jujitsu in his back pocket, but he hasn't lived up to his hype. His brother Gilbert Burns, when Herbert Burns was debuting, he was like, "No, this guy is even better than me. I got DDP, and is that crazy?" Wait until I get to the main event, my dude. I actually spoke at length about that the Israel Adesanya versus Dricus Duplessis on my channel. After I'm done with this stream, you can always go back and watch the stream. I think it's about 30 minutes long. I broke it down, obviously, but it depends if you enjoy my commentary because I also included a South African perspective at the beginning of that video. But like the majority of that video is me breaking down the main event. But I'll give you my thoughts on that once I get to the main event. But yeah, Jack Jenkins should actually definitely win this one. I'd be shocked if Jack Jenkins loses this fight. So yeah, my subscribers and I once again went with Jack Jenkins. On to the next one. Casey O'Neill versus Luana Santos. My subscribers and I went with Luana Santos. My subscribers also feel like Luana Santos has the fight IQ advantage in this particular fight. Um, on the feed, I favor Luana Santos as well as on the ground. The only advantage on the feed I feel like Casey O'Neill has is volume. She throws a lot, and obviously, I'm not sure if I'm mistaken about this, but she trains at Extreme Couture, and Extreme Couture is a really good gym. So, I mean, they probably will be able to prepare her significantly. So, I feel like this is going to be a hard fight. Um, and it's women's MMA, man. I feel pretty confident that Luana Santos should win this one. But after the Dudakova disappointment, I'm never, ever, ever making a female my lock. Even if I tell you that fight, I feel confidently about it. Never listen to anything I say when it comes to female fights. Like, for example, last week I said Carol Rosa would actually win, and she dominated. I expected that, but I felt the same way about Dudakova, like, and she didn't do that. So I can watch, like, that's the craziest thing with women's fights. Like, you can see the same thing. Like, I analyze fights the same way. They give me the same results, like with Dudakova and Carol Rosa. But Carol Rosa dominated that fight, and Dudakova went life and death with Sam Hughes. So, like, women's MMA, dog. Anyway, I feel like Luana Santos should probably win on the feet. I don't see any advantage for Casey O'Neill except maybe her reach. That's the only advantage I'd give her, and the striking volume. She throws a lot. That's the only advantage I'd give her on the feet. On the ground, I mean, I think it's all Luana Santos. So for me personally, I feel like Luana Santos should definitely dominate this fight. But once again, it's women's MMA. Um, a champion today could look like a street fighter tomorrow. So, I mean, don't listen to anything I'm saying when it comes to women's MMA. Let me reply to your. What about Ty? I think he could pull off the upset. I don't know, man. I feel like Tai Tuivasa is not taking his career seriously. I feel like he has talent, but he's not serious about his career. I'll get to it. There's a couple of fights that I have to go through, but man, to Tai Tuivasa. If Santos win, then Jesus wins also. Nah, man. Nah, I don't agree with that because I feel like Stuart Nicole is a really good fighter. Casey O'Neill is not that great for me personally. So, if women were not as unreliable in these fights, as I've seen so far, I would have made Luana Santos one of my locks. I feel that confidently about Luana Santos winning. I feel like Jesus Aguilar is not that good. Okay, he is good, but I don't feel like he has advantage in that fight, man. Tougher KO Walker for sure. Um, ye- okay, we'll see. Let me get to those fights, guys. Don't sidetrack me. I'll get to those fights. So my subscribers and I went with Luana Santos. My subscribers also feel like Luana Santos has the highest fight IQ. I think Luana Santos should actually dominate this fight, but you never know. On to the next one. Josh Kulibao versus Ricardo Ramos. My subscribers feel like Josh Kulibao has the highest fight IQ on this in this particular fight. My subscribers picked Josh Kulibao. I picked Ricardo Ramos, and I agree with my subscribers saying Ricardo Ramos does not have a lot of fight IQ. He's made a horrible fight mistakes, like horrible fight IQ mistakes that shouldn't be made like by any fighter. But I picked Ricardo Ramos largely because I feel like he is the more skilled fighter. I feel like on the feed, it'll be evenly matched. Like I think on the feed it's 50-50. It could go either way. But on the ground, man, I feel like Ramos is going to dominate this fight. But I don't feel very confident because Ramos makes horrible decisions during a fight. But I can't ignore the fact that he's really talented. And that's one of the reasons why I introduced the fight IQ rankings in order to actually highlight the fact that there are people who make stupid mistakes during fights that do not honestly make sense. Um, but I picked him purely because I feel like the skill level for Ramos is so high that I can't honestly. Even if he makes stupid mistakes, I'm hoping that he's tired of losing because of stupid mistakes. I'm hoping that if these fighters watch my videos, they're gonna be mad. But I'm trying to be honest here. Like he makes horrible mistakes, and clearly, and I'm glad I'm not the one who's making the fight IQ rankings because a lot of people would be mad at me. It's not me. There's thousands of people who are voting on these, so it's not my opinion. It's the opinion of thousands or hundreds of people. So I'm glad I came up with the idea to not be the one who's determining these rankings. Anyway, I feel like Josh Kulibao has the the IQ advantage. On the feed, I feel like the fight will be very close. Let me elaborate on what I mean. I feel like Josh Kulibao lands a little bit more significantly, whereas on the other hand, I feel like Ricardo Ramos throws a little bit more volume. I think he's a little bit better with regards to striking defensively. I think his defense is really good. And then, I mean, also, well, Josh Kulibao is not that bad defensively. On the ground, man, I feel like he's going to have like a massive advantage. Also, when it comes to striking, Josh Kulibao will have the reach advantage, and obviously, reach when it comes to striking it influences a fight significantly. So that's why I feel like this is one of the most riskiest fights you can ever try to put money on. Like if there was ever, I should actually make a risk level rankings basically because I also do risk levels basically. If you've watched my video, especially the shorts video, you know that I add risk levels to every single fight on the card. So my subscribers said this fight is 100% risky, and I also said it's 100% risky. So that should tell you how closely matched these fighters are. But for me personally, I feel like if it wasn't for Ricardo Ramos's horrible fight IQ, I think he should be favored in this particular fight. But because of his horrible fight IQ, I no one believes he's going to win. But I believe. So I guess we'll see. I mean, my predictions have been really on fire, especially because I improved them um, 2 weeks ago. So and the results show for themselves because I hate repeating this multiple times. UFC 304, I got 11 out of 13. I only got two wrong. Last week I got what do you call it? 8 out of 10. I only got two wrong. My subscribers, UFC 304, they got 10 out of 13. They only got three wrong. And then last week, they got 9 out of 10, which is flipping impressive. They only got one wrong. I wish that was my results. So, just for those who are new here, my subscribers have incredibly accurate predictions. Like sometimes, a lot of the time, I'm the one who has like the most accurate predictions, but I surpass them by like one or two picks. So that's why I include my subscribers' picks on even live videos because my subscribers have some of the most incredible. They are even better than a lot of channels on YouTube. My subscribers when it comes to predictions. So that's why I include them on my live videos. I just wanted to say that for those who maybe are new to the channel. So yeah, that's basically my thoughts on Josh Kulibao versus Ricardo Ramos. I'm sticking with my pick of Ricardo Ramos, despite the fact that I know that he has low fight IQ, but I feel like his fight skill is going to compensate for the low fight IQ. I'm hoping he doesn't get into any dangerous situations. Let me respond to you guys before I go to the next fight. Um, what fights would Tafa KO? What fights wouldn't you bet on or add to your parlay? Um, to be honest, my guy, I didn't add that information on the predictions. That information usually I added on the upsets video, which will be coming out on Friday. I'll be doing the live upsets. I do upsets video on a weekly basis every Friday. If I'm late, maybe Saturday. It's only last week that I didn't do an upsets video. So but nonetheless, the fights that I wouldn't put money on, one of them is Josh Kulibao versus Ricardo Ramos. Another one is Junior Tafa versus Walter Walker. Another one, definitely the main event. Stay away from the main event, my dude. Like, that's one of the most riskiest fights. Which other one? Any women's fight, just stay away from it. I think the Kai Kara France versus Steve Essig, stay away from that one as well. So yeah, I'll do this properly when I do my upsets predictions on Friday. Um, but yeah, those are basically the fights I would stay away from. So Ricardo Ramos is skilled, but a dumb fighter. Good to know. Yeah, yeah, I do. We do fight IQ rankings, but I also agree with that. I never said he's dumb. If Ricardo Ramos sees this one day, guys, it's not me who makes these rankings. These fight IQ rankings are made by my subscribers, right? And the reason why I trust my subscribers is one, they have accurate predictions, very good predictions. Like I just said, my subscribers have predictions that are better than a lot of the channels on YouTube. And number two is my channel is a statistics channel. So I feel like anyone who's following a statistics channel has a little bit more deeper knowledge about fighting than an average person or a person who's following a channel that's fundamentally about entertainment, even if it's within MMA. Like if you're watching, if someone is following, like for example, an MMA news channel or I don't know, MMA Guru. MMA Guru basically is entertainment. So I feel like my channel is a little bit more analytical. So I trust my subscribers to make these kind of decisions, and it's reflected in their predictions. My subscribers have very good predictions. So that my analysis is basically correct when I felt like my subscribers should be the ones who are determining who has the highest fight IQ. And I agree with them. I agreed with them last week. Not all of them, I feel like Carl Williams was horrible in that fight. Like he made horrible fight IQ decisions, but a lot of who they felt like had the highest fight IQ, I agreed with them, even on this card. Although, even though I understand why they said Israel Adesanya has the highest fight IQ, I feel like Dricus du Plessis is one of the most intelligent people in the UFC. So I understand and I agree with them on that one, but I feel like Dricus is also a very smart fighter. So even though I would agree that Israel Adesanya has the IQ advantage on that particular card, um, I feel like Dricus is also very smart. But let me not go on a rant. I'll get to that. Let me respond to what's up, brother. Hi, Sven. How are you, man? Haven't seen you in a while. I got Prates, Tafa, Gamrod, Urseg, Kulibao, Jenkins, and DDP or Adesanya. Is this bet safe? What do you? What would you change? If you're new to the channel, right, there's so much information on this channel that I won't remember to add everything on my live videos. If you want the full, like, my full thoughts, here it's just breakdowns. It's me giving you reasons for what I did, what I said on my shorts or video section. So if you're new to the channel, I highly encourage you to take a look at my shorts because they have so much information. So much information. My predictions. There are risk levels on those shorts. Like there's so many things on my shorts that like I would encourage you to watch them. So as far as the fights that from the list that you gave me, which fights do I feel like have the highest risk? I feel like Tafa has a high risk because he was taken down in his previous fight. I don't. Okay, it was short notice, so that is not fair to him. But still, he was taken down by Usman, so that's not good. I mean, Usman is not Kamaru Usman. I'm talking about his older brother in the heavyweight division. To be taken down by him for me is not that great because I don't feel like Muhammad Usman is that great. So for Tafa to be taken down by Usman is a red flag for me, even though I picked him, but I'm not very confident about that one because I saw Walter Walker and or rather, even my subscribers are saying the same thing, he looks shredded, which means he's worked on his cardio, which was the biggest problem. Guys, I'm even breaking down, but it's the next fight. Let me actually get to that fight. Um, Junior Tafa versus Walter Walker. My subscribers and I went with Junior Tafa. Um, my subscribers also feel like Junior Tafa has the IQ advantage in this particular fight. So let me just break it down. My subscribers feel like, or rather, I've seen a couple of comments. That's the advantage of having this kind of channel is that a lot of people will give you information so that things that I might have missed, I'm able to then research and see. And Walter Walker looks incredible. He was fat in his last fight, and now he looks like a proper light heavyweight. They're in light heavyweight, right? Wherever, oh, heavyweight actually. Wherever they're fighting, he looks pretty shredded, which means he worked on his cardio, which was the biggest problem in his last fight. But on the other hand, I mean, Johnny Walker is Walter Walker's brother. And Johnny Walker keeps getting knocked out, even though he's in incredible shape. So, I mean, being in shape doesn't necessarily mean you're going to win a fight, you know. Um, Otherwise, there would be a lot of bodybuilders who are champions in the UFC. But nonetheless, I'm just saying that it seems like he noticed an error and then he addressed it. So, my subscribers and I went with Junior Tafa. Um, as far as who I feel, skill for skill, I feel like it's going to be very close. Um, I feel like on the feed it's a coin flip, but obviously because Tafa has that knockout power, and knockout power changes everything. So that could be the game changer. You know what, guys? What I'm going to do is I'll respond to your comments once I'm done with these predictions, because I realize that when I'm replying to you guys, I'm even commenting on the main event before I even get to it. So I'll respond to all your comments. I promise. Once I'm done breaking down these fights, and then we can have a conversation once I'm done with these fights. So I don't feel pretty confident. I don't feel pretty confident about Junior Tafa winning this one, especially because I feel like Walter Walker has improved physically. I mean, we haven't seen it practically. We can only judge a fighter based on his last performance or his last couple of performances, and his last performance was horrible. And once again, I mean, Johnny Walker is shredded, but he keeps getting knocked out. And so being shredded doesn't mean you're going to win the fight. um, blobs win fights, dude. Like we've seen it happen. Shamil Gaziev. Shamil Gaziev is a perfect example of that. Um, anyway, yeah, I don't feel pretty confident about this one. I feel like Walter Walker has a shot at winning, but I'm sticking with my pick. Walter Walker does not have a great fight IQ as well, so you never know what's going to happen in that fight. So on to the next one, Li Jinglian versus Carlos Prates. My subscribers feel like Li Jinglian has the fight IQ advantage in this particular fight. However, my subscribers and I picked Carlos Prates. Um, this one is a little bit tricky because I feel like Li Jinglian has a shot at winning. However, I feel like Carlos Prates has the power advantage, and he is younger. If you follow my channel, you know how I feel about younger fighters. I feel like, let me not go on a rant, but let me just summarize it. After 35, it's hard for me to pick you unless I feel like you are very skilled, right? In this situation, I feel like Li Jinglian is very skilled, but he's older. There are so many elements that I consider when I make my analysis, and which is why my subscribers will tell you how accurate my picks are. Even though obviously there are bad nights, but my bad nights are not as horrible as most people. Like my bad night is me getting 5 fights wrong, maybe out of 13 or out of 12, which is not great, but I mean it's still not that bad. But anyway, I feel like, let me explain this my thoughts on this particular fight in detail. I feel like Carlos Prates is a little bit more accurate with his strikes. Obviously, with the power that he has the ability to be accurate and knock you out. He also has the reach advantage, which means that he can strike from a distance. He has the ability to actually lean out of shots, which significantly influences a fight. We saw it with Josh. Who's that guy who was fighting? It was a flyweight fight. Joshua Van versus who's this dude? Jose Johnson. We saw the how much it affected the fight. Even though I feel like Joshua Van was the better fighter, the reach influenced how that fight played out, in my opinion. So I feel like in this particular situation, it'll be the same. I feel like Prates has the reach advantage. On top of that, he has the power advantage, and he's very accurate with his strikes. Um, but on the other hand, Li Jinglian throws a little bit more volume. Li Jinglian is a little better defensively, in my opinion, in terms of striking. And even on the ground, I don't feel like Carlos Prates has that much of a ground game that I've seen so far. So it's gonna be very interesting. But my subscribers and I feel like this is one of the fights that we feel pretty confident about. My subscribers said that this fight is safe, which means for my subscribers, according to my subscribers, they feel like it's safe to put money on this one. Um, but and even I said that, but you know what? I don't know, man. I don't know. Based on what I'm looking at here, I'm having doubts. But yeah, I think Carlos Prates should win, but I'm not extremely confident. I'm not extremely confident. But yeah, my official pick and my subscribers' official pick is Carlos Prates, despite the fact that my subscribers said Li Jinglian has the fight IQ advantage in this particular fight. On to the next one. Taito Ivasa versus Jairzinho Rosenstrike. My subscribers and I went with Jairzinho Rosenstrike. My subscribers also feel like Jairzinho Rosenstrike has the fight IQ advantage in this particular fight. Um, who do I think is going to win? On the feed, I feel like Jairzinho Rosenstrike will have the advantage. I feel like he's a little better defensively. I think um, he throws a little bit more volume. I feel like they land accurately, both of them, so I don't feel like any either of them have an advantage there. Um, but holistically on the feed, I feel like Jairzinho Rosenstrike will have the advantage because of the ability to avoid getting hit and because he throws a little bit more volume than Taito Ivasa. And on top of that, Jairzinho Rosenstrike has the reach advantage in this particular fight. So I know that this is where Taito Ivasa should win the fight, but because I feel like because Rosenstrike has the reach advantage, he is the better fighter in terms like defensively. I think Rosenstrike is better here. He has the ability to avoid getting hit. Um, and I actually, even though I picked the Jairzinho Rosenstrike, the more I look at it, I'm like, I don't think Ty is going to win this one. Oh, okay. No, Tai Tuivasa actually throws than Rosenstrike. Yeah, yeah. I'm glad I looked at this a little bit more accurately. Tai Tuivasa throws a little bit more accurately, but still Rosenstrike has um, the reach advantage. He has. I think Rosenstrike will be at an advantage when it comes to the striking exchanges, and on the ground. I mean, neither of them have an incredible ground game, but Taito Ivasa has been taken down so many times. I wouldn't be surprised if Rosenstrike somehow tries to take down Taito Ivasa because Taito Ivasa has been taken down by almost everyone who has fought him. And this is something I was mentioning earlier when I was talking. I was breaking down the fights at the bottom. I don't feel like Taito Ivasa is taking his career seriously, man. And that's one of the reasons why I feel like he loses. I think Taito Ivasa is very talented. I feel like if Taito Ivasa took his career seriously, he has what it takes to become a champion. I feel like that's one of the reasons why he got into the top. Okay, I'm lying. Taito Ivasa got into the top five out of pure luck, in my opinion. He got matched up with a favorable fighter like him, basically, in Derek Lewis. And I remember saying this early that Taito Ivasa is going to lose every single fight he gets in the top five. I honestly didn't expect him to go on a losing streak immediately after getting into the top five, which is one of the craziest things I've ever watched outside of Tony Ferguson, because it wasn't like it was a win loss win loss win loss. Taito Ivasa got into, I think he was ranked number 3 or number 2, and then after beating Derek Lewis, he went on a losing streak that led him to the bottom. This is crazy. The bottom 10, the bottom 15, which is insane because that's where he was the last time he won a fight. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not laughing. I'm not laughing, but like it's crazy. I just realized that now that the last time Tai Tuivasa won a fight, he was in the bottom 15, and now he hasn't lost a fight since, and he's back in the bottom 50. Anyway, my point is, I feel like Taito Ivas is very talented, but he's not taking his career seriously, and you can't not take your career seriously, and be in the UFC, man. I feel like Rosenstrike is older, and you know how I feel about older fighters, but I don't feel like that's going to influence the fight significantly. At heavyweight, it's worse because, I mean, look at Alex Pereira. He's in light heavyweight and he's the champion. Granted, the light heavyweight does not have that many talented fighters, except maybe for the top five. Yeah, except maybe for the top five, there aren't that many great fighters. Um, so I get that, but even if this fight was taking place at welterweight or even lightweight or even featherweight, I'd still go with Rosenstrike, because I feel like Tai Tuivasa is not taking his career seriously, um, and I honestly think he's going to lose. I mean, he has the ability to knock anyone out. That's one of the reasons why I said this fight is risky. That's one of the reasons why I said stay away from this fight. But obviously, I'll give you my thoughts completely when I do the upset predictions on Friday. But obviously, Taito Ivasa has that knockout power, and maybe he realizes that he's on a four-fight losing streak, and he's chasing Tony Ferguson. he's he's busy chasing Tony Ferguson. They are competing on having the longest losing streak. So maybe he's realizing that, and it's sad because at least Tony Ferguson has the excuse of saying, "Well, in my prime, I was one of the best in the world, so the only reason I'm losing now is because I'm old." And Tony Ferguson would have a point. Taito Ivasa does not have a reason, a good enough excuse as to why he's losing this many fights at the age of, I think he's 32 or 31, somewhere there. Taito Ivasa is still very young, and it's sad that this is how his career is going at this point. But like I said, he's not taking it seriously, and if you go to your job and you're not taking it seriously, I mean, this is what happens. But anyway, Taito Ivasa has knockout power, so anything can happen, right? Anything can happen. But my subscribers and I officially picked Jazini or Rosenstrike. My subscribers also feel like Rosenstrike has the IQ advantage. I agree with them wholeheartedly. Um, On to the next one, Matheus Gamrod versus Dan Hooker. My subscribers and I went with Gamrod, and my subscribers also feel like Gamrod has the highest, or rather the biggest fight IQ advantage on in this particular fight. Who do I think is going to win this one? Um, I feel pretty confident that Gamrod is going to win this fight. And this is not me being disrespectful to Dan Hooker, because I respect Dan Hooker as a fighter, especially recently. And he's lost to decent fighters, people like Brandon Allen, Islam Makhachev, Dustin Poirier. Who else? Michael Chandler. Michael Chandler is not the right guy at this point, but nonetheless, he's looked good in the UFC. So it's not like Dan Hooker was on a losing skid against horrible fighters. So this is not me being disrespectful to Dan Hooker, because Dan Hooker has looked good in his last two fights. Him versus Jalen Turner, and I think Dan Hooker, was it Jalen Turner or Dan Hooker who came in on short notice? I don't know, but they went to war, and I expected Jalen Turner to win that fight, and he lost. Right, so I'm not being disrespectful to Dan Hooker in any way, shape, or form. I think Dan Hooker is a really talented fighter, especially recently. However, the fight between Mateus Gamrot and Rafael Fiziev I expected Rafael Fiziev to destroy Gamrot, right? And even though I know the fight ended with an injury, Gamrot was looking like he was the better striker early in that fight, right? For as long as the fight lasted, Gamrot was winning that fight on the feet, right? And we have to also consider the fact that Gamrot has a win over Aman Sarukian. I know a lot of people want to slide Gamrot for his performance against RDA, like, oh my God, he got knocked down by RDA. I mean, you mean the former lightweight champion? Is that what you're talking about? Like, why is it a shame for you to have a hard fight against a former champion? RDA is still good, man. Like he looked sensational. I mean, look at the Jose. What's his name? Okay, before it becomes racist, and I forgot his name and I pronounce it horribly. But there's so many former champions who are performing significantly well. I feel like RDA is still very good. I was really impressed with that particular fight. But here, and in that fight, the thing is, RDA is a very complete fighter. He's a good striker and he's decent on the ground. He's really good, not just decent. He's really good on the ground. And Gamrod won the fight on the ground. But in this particular fight, the ground game won't be an issue for Gamrod, right? So he has that in his back pocket. I feel like he's going to dominate when it goes, if it ever goes to the ground. Gamrod is going to dominate. Um, but granted, I will say this: Dan Hooker has the power advantage. I feel like between the both of them, the person who's likely going to knock down the other one is probably going to be Dan Hooker. I feel like Dan Hooker has the reach advantage. Actually, let me not say I feel, it's a fact. Dan Hooker has the reach advantage in this particular fight. Dan Hooker throws a little bit more volume, but that's just about it. Those are the only things that I would see going for Dan Hooker in this particular fight. Everything else, striking, defense, the ground game, everything like will be in favor of Mateus Gamrot. And the reason why I brought up the fight between Rafael Fiziev and Mateus Gamrot is because Gamrot looked good against one of the best strikers in the UFC. I mean, Rafael Fiziev had an incredibly amazing fight with Justin Gaethje. I know it's MMA math, but that's how I'm judging his striking abilities. I'm not saying, well, because he was arguably winning the fight against Fiziev, then it automatically means he's going to beat this um, Dan Hooker when it comes to striking. That's not what I'm saying. My argument, basically, this whole thing that I've been saying is, if Gamrot was able to perform like that against one of the best strikers in the lightweight division, I don't feel like Dan Hooker is going to be too much of a threat on the feet. Which means if the fight is too close on the feet, what's going to happen is it's going to open up opportunities for Gamrot to take the fight to the ground. And I agree with my subscribers when they say Mateus Gamrot has the IQ advantage in this particular fight, because I don't think Gamrot is dumb enough to actually give Dan Hooker an opportunity to win by actually trying to win the fight on the feet. I feel like he's going to strike if when he needs to, but whenever he gets the opportunity to take the fight to the ground, I think that's where it's going to go. And Gamrot was the better grappler in the fight against Aman Sarukian. Right? I know Dan Hooker is not easy to submit, but Dan Hooker is not Aman Sarukian, guys. Like Dan Hooker is not Aman Sarukian, right? And Aman Sarukian gave Islam Makhachev one of the hardest fights. I know, once again, I'm doing MMA math. I understand that. But like I said, there's no other way to judge a fighter except from their previous fights. That's the only way to judge a fight based on their previous fights. So on the feed, here's my final thoughts on this particular card. On the feed, Gamrot was doing significantly well against Rafael Fiziev, who is an incredible striker, incredible striker. So this fight on the feet will probably be even. That means the probability of this fight going to the ground will be significantly high, and that's where Gamrod is going to dominate. I know a lot of people are saying this is going to be a decision win for Gamrod. I'm leaning more towards a finish, especially because when you consider the fact that Mateusz Gamrod was the reason why Dustin Poirier performed the way he did against Islam Makhachev. Because Dustin Poirier said he was training with Mateusz Gamrod in preparation for Islam Makhachev. So if Gamrot was able to make Dustin Poirier perform like that, because Dustin Poirier was submitted by everyone that he fought who had any ground game. Actually, every champion that's ever fought him submitted him, sure, but Islam Makhachev, in my opinion, is probably the most complete fighter he's ever fought. He's more complete than Habib. He's more complete than what do you call him, Charles Oliveira, and still, despite the fact that Islam Makhachev is as complete as he is, Dustin Poirier managed to get to the final round, and that was an incredibly competitive fight. Obviously, Islam Makhachev was winning that fight clearly, but it was more competitive than any of us imagined it would be, right? And it's all because Mateusz Gamrod helped Dustin Poirier prepare for that particular fight, and that's why this is one of my confident picks. I feel pretty confident that Mateusz Gamrot should win this one. Yeah, I spent a lot of time on this fight, but I'm glad. It's always nice to actually give my opinion on why I pick certain fighters. On to the next one: Kai Kara France versus Steve Erceg. My subscribers went with Steve Erceg. I went with Kai Kara France. My subscribers feel like Steve Erceg has the IQ advantage in this particular fight. Who do I think is going to win? I think Kai Kara France is going to upset a lot of people. Because I saw a lot of people picking Steve Erceg. And I honestly don't understand why. Because the only elite fighter that he's ever fought was Pantoja, and he lost. Right? You can make whatever excuse you want. You can say, "Oh, he was robbed." I don't think so. It was close, and he's making that fight close against an aging Alexander Pantoja. Pantoja is at the age where champions lose titles, and he still won. Right? So I feel like a lot of people, it's the Colby Covington effect. I'm not saying Steve Erceg is Kobe Covington. I'm just saying it's the Kobe Covington effect. Because you had a close fight with the champion, automatically people say you are an extremely good fighter. And I'm willing to admit that Steve Erceg is good, right? But for anyone to overlook Kai Kara France like he's just someone who's going to get the run through is insane for me. But anyway, let me actually explain this one as well. Why do I think Kai Kara France is going to win this one? I think Kai Kara France is going to be the more defensively sound fighter on the feet in this particular fight. I think Kai Kara France throws a little bit more volume. Steve Erceg probably is more accurate, but that's the only thing going for him. I think volume as well as power. Kai Kara France has power, the power advantage between the both of them. So if anyone is going to knock out anyone, it's going to be Kai Kara France. Kai Kara France has the reach advantage as well. So that means he can actually fight from a distance and still actually manage to land good punches, right? So on the ground, I know that's what a lot of people are saying. I mean, Kai Kara France has really good takedown defense, and especially that the team, the Volkanovski as well as the City Kickboxing team is working with, I don't know, what's his name, Craig Jones or something like that. Since they've been working with that guy, man, like their ground game has been insane. Like it's been insane. Like their takedown defense. has been incredible. Volkanovski was even using his grappling offensively, and initially it was just to be defensively good, but Volkanovski used his grappling offensively against Yair Rodriguez. That's how good that team has become. So I don't feel like Steve Ersek's ground game is going to play any role in this particular fight. I think this fight is going to be on the feet. I will be shocked if Kai Kara France gets taken down. And if this fight stays on the feet, Kai Kara France is not only going to win, there's a possibility he might get a knockout. You can come back to the stream. If I'm wrong, you can tell me in the comment section. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see. I doubt I'll be wrong about this one, especially because now I'm realizing that Kai Kara France will have the power advantage, will have the reach advantage. He will be a little bit better defensively, and the only advantage that on the feet that Steve Erceg will have is his accuracy, and accuracy means very little if you're not throwing a lot and if you don't have the power advantage. And someone with a reach advantage, how are you going to land? On the ground, the fight is never going there. I don't feel like the fight will ever go to the ground. So I saw a lot of people picking Steve Erceg. Good luck. But my official pick is Kai Kara France. And I respect my subscribers' pick because my subscribers also picked Steve Erceg. That's the only reason why this pick is not confident. It's not high confidence for me because my subscribers are very smart, right? Like I said, I know I repeat this a lot, but they got 10 UFC 304. They got 10 fights correct out of 13. Was it? Was it 13? Well, yeah, I think it's not UFC 304 actually. It's UFC Saudi Arabia. Yes, it was 13 fights the week before, and then last week they got 9 out of 10. That's 90% accuracy. So I respect my subscribers' picks. That's the only reason I'm not making this one of my locks because my subscribers probably saw something that I didn't see. But a lot of the time when I pick against my subscribers, I'm the one who comes out on top. Not always, but a lot of the time. But we'll see, especially because on this card, my subscribers and I have 4 different fights that we disagree on. I think it's the what do you call it? Jesus Aguilar fight. It's the Kai Kara France fight. It's the Dricus Duplessis fight. I forgot which other one. Oh, the Josh Kulibau versus Ricardo Ramos fight. Those are the 4 fights we disagree on. Let's see who's right. But yeah, my subscribers went with Steve Erceg. I went with Kai Kara France. My subscribers feel like Steve Erceg has the fight IQ advantage. I can't disagree with that. But I feel like Kai Kara France has good fight IQ as well. But we'll see. On to the main event, Dricus Duplessis versus Israel Adesanya. I went with Dricus Duplessis. My subscribers went with Israel Adesanya. My subscribers also feel like Israel Adesanya has the fight IQ advantage. I don't disagree with that too much, but I feel like Dricus Duplessis is also a very intelligent fighter. Um, this is also the second riskiest fight on the card to actually put money on. The most riskiest fight on the card is Josh Kulibau versus Ricardo Ramos. This is the second riskiest fight to actually put money on. There's in terms when I analyze a fight, I'm able to see how close the fight will probably be, whether it goes to a decision or whether either of them gets a finish. I'm able to see whether how risky it's going to be. This fight is one of the riskiest, second riskiest on the card, basically, like I just said. Largely because I feel like both of them have their advantages and disadvantages. Um, the same argument I was making for Mattel's Gamrod, I'm going to make it slightly for what do you call him, Dricus Duplessis, because Dricus Duplessis is a very complete fighter. And even though on the feet he looks awkward, he doesn't look like he knows what he's doing. He's very accurate. He throws a lot of volume. He has a lot of power. Um, the only, let me see. Yeah, man. Like on the feet, I feel like the fight is going to be very closely matched. Dricus Duplessis is a little bit more accurate with his strikes, and he throws a little bit more volume. Israel Adesanya is definitely better defensively. It's not very easy to hit him. But if you look at Israel Adesanya, he likes to strike at a distance, and if you can manage to get into the pocket without getting countered, you are fine, right? If you watched my stream from yesterday, when I was breaking down the main event, I said that Israel Adesanya knocking out Alex Pereira is impressive. Let me check my battery before it turns off. Oh, I still have a little bit of battery. Israel Adesanya has a tendency of oh, okay, that's not the point I was trying to make. The point I was trying to make was that the fight between Alex Pereira and Israel Adesanya, the knockout, for me personally, I don't rate it as high as most people do. And I explained that I'm not saying that Israel Adesanya is not a good striker, right? I explained that yesterday on that video that I do believe that Israel Adesanya, it takes skill for him to do what he does. Um, and I between Alex Pereira and Israel Adesanya, I believe that Israel Adesanya is the better striker, and it's proven by the first fight. Israel Adesanya was winning that fight up until he got knocked out in the fifth round, right? Which plays into proves my point that I'm going to make towards the end of the stream. He got knocked out, but he was winning that fight. However, that knockout, him knocking out Alex Pereira, for me was not because of pure skill. It was because Israel Adesanya played possum. He acted like he was hurt, and as a result, Alex Pereira became reckless and did something that he probably wouldn't have done if he didn't think he was about to finish Israel Adesanya. So that basically validates my subscribers saying Israel Adesanya has the fight IQ advantage in this particular card, in this particular fight, because that was a fight IQ move. Playing possum and making someone believe that you're hurt in order to actually get an opportunity to counter them. I don't think that strategy is going to work against Dricus Duplessis. And when you look at the people that he's managed to knock out, it's Robert Whittaker, and it was in their first fight, and Robert Whittaker was making stupid mistakes, and that's why in their second fight, the fight was a little bit closer. Before Robert Whittaker or after Robert Whittaker, it was Paulo Costa. So in the UFC, Israel Adesanya has knocked out. I don't know if I should count the Derek Brunson, but fine, we'll count Derek Brunson. He's knocked out four people. That's not great for me. Like, I know he has 16 knockouts, but in the UFC, I think I can only recall four knockouts in the UFC. So and it's normally against people who were being reckless. Robert Whittaker was being reckless. Alex Pereira was being reckless. Paulo Costa is not that great, so I'd say that one counts. Derek Brunson is not that great, so that one counts. It was a skill knockout. It wasn't the other guy was being reckless. So the Alex Pereira and um, Robert Whittaker knockout for me are a little bit iffy because I feel like they were being reckless, and that's why Israel Adesanya caught them. I don't think that's going to happen with Dricus Duplessis. On top of that, Dricus Duplessis, Israel Adesanya does not fight really well when you pressure him. We saw that with what do you call him, um, Sean Strickland. We also saw that with um, Jan Blachowicz, because people forget that Jan Blachowicz, the reason why he managed to take Israel Adesanya down was because he was being successful on the feet, right? Even though Israel Adesanya was not that far ahead of him, but he was winning. He was having success on the feet against Israel Adesanya. That's what opened up the ground advantage, or rather the ground game. And that's another thing I want to speak about that I didn't speak about on the last video. Israel Adesanya does not have great cardio. I don't know who said Israel Adesanya has great cardio because the fact that he was knocked out by Alex Pereira in the fifth round proves my point, right? And the fact that Jan Blachowicz only started having success with his wrestling, and Jan Blachowicz is not the greatest wrestler, but Jan Blachowicz was able to have success with his grappling when in the later rounds, not in the championship rounds. That's when Jan Blachowicz was having success with his grappling because that's when Israel Adesanya gets tired. Even Marvin Vittori was able to have success late with his wrestling. And I feel like on the feed, to be honest, obviously Israel Adesanya will have the reach advantage, but because of the finishing ability of Dricus Du Plessis, I think Israel Adesanya will be a little bit more careful. But on the other hand, he seems so angry that I feel like it might influence his fighting, and that might end up getting him knocked out. But in all honesty, I don't see Israel Adesanya winning a decision. If there's any way Israel Adesanya is going to win this fight, he has to finish. If he doesn't finish this fight, I don't think Israel Adesanya is going to win. So mark my words right now, Israel Adesanya is going to lose a decision if it gets to a decision. The reason why I say this is because Dricus Du Plessis has power, right? So that means he's going to probably land the more damaging shots throughout the fight. If it gets to a decision, Dricus Du Plessis will be the one who's landing the more damaging shots, especially because of Israel Adesanya's style of touching and going, touching and going, touching and going, versus someone who is willing to get hurt in order to actually win a fight. Um, Dricus Du Plessis has the wrestling advantage. I feel like once it gets too close on the feet, Dricus Du Plessis will be able to implement the wrestling, especially in the later rounds. Um, if Dricus Du Plessis' team is smart, which I think they um, they are going to actually try to strike with Israel Adesanya for the first 2 to 3 rounds, and then take the fight to the ground in the fourth and fifth round. Right, so a lot of people were thinking I'm only picking Dricus Du Plessis because I'm South African. I think I just gave you my reasons why I picked Dricus Du Plessis. Let me respond to some of your comments. I know some of them have left probably the stream because I'm done, but let me respond. Um, I've gotten every fight right since I started watching back in '07. And that's Sven. Sven, you haven't been watching since '07. My channel started last year. How have you been watching since '07? This guy. Um, Farad Jasper. Nice. Thank you, man. Walter Sehudo. Okay. Stan Sven, which bed of mine is not safe? Stan Van. Potential upsets, in my opinion, Kai, Hooker, Walker, Casey, Ty, and Ramos are live. Yeah, I agree. Dude, you should change your name because I don't know how to pronounce it. Like, there's so many alphabets. And, like, you're one of my frequent subscribers. I see you in the comment section every single time. But if someone asked me, like, who's one of the most frequent subscribers on the channel, I don't know how to even say it because I'd be like, okay, it's the guy with the alphabets in his name. If you changed your profile picture, I'd be lost. I'd probably not recognize you. Change your name, dude, so that I know I can recognize you. But yeah, I agree with that. Those are picks that could actually get the upset. Um, I feel like women fights have a 90% chance of going the distance. Yeah, that's actually very accurate. That's very accurate. I'm not even going to dispute that. Um, Carl Williams bet on himself to lose by decision for sure. Oh, it's not allowed to bet. Well, like fighters are not allowed to bet. Quit yapping blood. No sleep. Okay. What's your doubts on Prates? My doubts on Prates is that I feel like Li Jinglian is better defensively. He doesn't get hit a lot. Um, what else? What else? I think Li Jinglian throws a little bit more volume. I think if the fight goes to the ground, it will probably be Li Jinglian who's initiating those exchanges. Um, so that's basically why I feel like Prates might be. Those are the things. Obviously, that's why I picked Carlos Prates, because I feel like he has the power, he has the reach, he will be a little bit more accurate. But the things that I just mentioned is why I feel a bit unsure. That's the word I'm using. Ty will use wrestling. When has Ty wrestled anyone? And Ty is not going to out wrestle Jazini or Rosenstrike. For the first time ever. Okay, okay, Thomas. I guess we'll see. Ty might knock him out. I mean, Ty has the power to do it. Like I said in my breakdown, Ty has the power. I'm not disputing that. But he's not taking his career seriously. So, and Rosenstrike has the reach advantage. If you don't know what that means, it means if Rosenstrike leans out of the way, there's a probability Ty is going to miss a lot. The only way I can explain it is go watch the fight between Alexander Volkov versus Sergey Pavlovich. You'll see reach at work, right? You can avoid the power with reach. If you have the reach advantage, granted the reach is not that much, but still, reach can help you avoid power if you know how to use it. Lee, okay. You hate Izzy, admit it. I don't hate Izzy. Izzy was one of my favorite fighters. I think his personality affected me negatively. But initially, if you look at my earlier streams, I said I said that I thought Israel Adesanya would win until I did like an in-depth analysis of the fight. And I was like, wait a minute, it seems like Dricus might be the guy who probably gets it done. But it's going to be a close fight. Um, Isaiah Villana, Thai Erceg Ramos Prates Izzy song. Ah, okay. Thai to Ivasa, horrible. In terms of, like, it's a risky fight to actually pick. It's very risky. Erceg as well, Ramos as well. Prates, I'm okay with that. Izzy is a very risky fight. Song, I'm okay with that. Sven, I've been watching UFC since '07, son. Okay. Okay, Sven, I'm not disputing that. Izzy in the cage is a monster. Izzy out of the cage. Oof. I agree with that. What's up, man? I'm good, man. You're finding me at the end. Can you speak French? No. You know, a lot of people think I'm multilingual. Well, I am, but in South African languages. Normally, I use translations to actually respond to everyone, whether it's in French, whether it's in Spanish. A lot of the people on my channel think I know a lot of their languages, but normally I respect my subscribers so much that I translate what they say on the channel and I use Google Translate in order to respond to them. That's how much you guys mean to me. But you're finding me at the end of my stream. I was just responding to comments. I've just the stream is now an hour and 14 minutes long. I broke down the entire card for UFC 305. If you want to watch it, once I finish streaming, you can go back and watch the entire stream from the beginning. Let me just respond to these last two and then bounce. I just tuned in. Can you quickly go over your picks? Go to my shorts. Go to my shorts section if you want quick picks. Click on the channel and then go to the shorts section. You'll see all my picks. My obviously because it's a short, it's under a minute, so you'll be able to see all my picks. If you want quick picks, this was meant to be a breakdown basically. Are you from Cameroon? Nope. I'm proudly South African. Um, but yeah, I'll see you guys Friday when I do my upsets predictions. Otherwise, go through the channel. There's so much information. The shorts section, the video section, the live section of the channel. There's so much. If you're new to the channel, go through the channel. I think you'll love it, especially if you're an MMA fan, specifically a UFC fan. There's so much information. The community section, oh my god, the community section is gold. So just go through the channel, and I think you'll love what you see. You can make the decision to subscribe or not once you've gone through the channel. If you decide to stay, I love you forever, and I'll see you in the comment section. Until next time. Okay, let me respond to you guys before I leave. Oh, okay. Cheering for Drakus? Yeah, I'm cheering for Drakus Du Plessis to win. Oh no, wonder he's going for DDP. Sven, Sven, you've been on this stream the whole time. Like I just explained why I picked Drakus Du Plessis. I picked when Peyton Talbot was fighting um, Cameron Simon. Cameron Simon is also South African. He trains with Drakus Du Plessis. I picked Peyton Talbot. So why didn't I pick Cameron Simon then? When he was fighting Peyton Talbot, don't be like that, dude. Um, I actually explained this. I made a separate stream covering the main event. If you want to listen to me explain properly in depth, even on this stream, once I end this stream, watch the whole entire stream, and you'll hear my reasons for picking Dricus Du Plessis. It has nothing to do with him being from South Africa. I don't pick people based on where they come from, unless it's gyms. Gyms influence a fight. Anyway, I love and appreciate all of you. Go through the channel, guys. There's so much information here. Until next time, deuces.